China is killing tens of thousands of Americans every year, and they do this by helping Mexican drug cartels flood the United States with fentanyl. But after the cartels sell millions of dollars worth of drugs in the US, they have a serious problem because they're now sitting on piles of cash that they have to smuggle out of the United States without getting caught. And this is where China comes in again. China not only helps get drugs into the United States, China also helps the cartels get drug money out of the United States. And the strange thing is that China does this without really moving any actual money. Okay, but how does this work? Well, one of the ways they do it is using these very clever and very illegal underground Chinese banking networks that are set up all over the world. Okay, suppose a drug cartel operating in the US has $1 million in cash from selling drugs and they want to get that money to Mexico. Well, the cartel can't put the money in a normal American bank and then just transfer it to Mexico because the American bank would likely flag the massive transaction and then the US government will seize the money. So instead, the cartel takes their $1 million in cash and gives it to an illegal underground Chinese bank operating in the US. Now, at the same time, let's say a wealthy Chinese businessman in China wants to transfer $1 million to the US, but he doesn't want there to be any digital money trail, or China has set limits on how much he can transfer. So the Chinese businessman also gives $1 million worth of Chinese money to the underground bank in China. So now the underground bank basically just acts as a middleman to help the drug cartel and the Chinese businessman swap their money with each other. And to do this, the underground bank simply gives the Chinese businessman the $1 million that the cartel already deposited in the United States, and then they give the drug cartel the $1 million of currency that the Chinese businessman deposited in China. So the value of the money passed both ways, but the money never had to actually leave either country. They basically just traded with each other, and the transaction is almost untraceable. And if you think this sounds far-fetched, here's just one example from 2024 where the FBI arrested dozens of people in Los Angeles because they caught the Sinaloa cartel working directly with Chinese underground banking to move $50 million worth of drug money out of the US. So this is not theoretical, this is actually happening. And by the way, different groups like China and Russia and drug cartels all work together and do nefarious things like this all the time to undermine the United States and Western civilization. And you probably have no idea about most of it because it usually doesn't make the headlines for more than a few minutes. And this is why every week I put out a free newsletter showing what's happening in war and geopolitics right now. To get it, just click the link in the description below or go to the overwatch.co. Takes just 5 minutes to read, and I promise you'll be more informed than 99% of other people. Again, it's completely free and you can unsubscribe anytime. Okay, but now that the drug cartel has $1 million of value sitting in China, how do the drug cartels actually access that money and get it to Mexico? Well, they can access it in a few different ways. For example, the cartel can just leave the money in China and use it to buy more drug-making chemicals from local Chinese companies, or they can transfer some of it to cryptocurrency, or the cartel could even withdraw cash from the underground Chinese banks operating inside Mexico. But whatever way they choose, the $1 million in drug money from the US is now usable currency for the cartels in Mexico, and again, the money technically never left the United States. So the main point I'm making here is that China is helping the Mexican drug cartels sell drugs in American neighborhoods and then convert huge piles of US dollars into usable purchasing power, which the cartels then use to buy even more drug-making chemicals and finance their next drug shipment into the US, all while making it nearly impossible for US law enforcement to follow the money. Okay, but why does China actively help traffic drugs to kill Americans? I mean, what does China get out of this? And furthermore, why do they think it's morally okay? Well, I explain all of that in the video that's on screen right now. You can click to watch that next. Enjoy.